Painting with Menoth John is presented in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. Start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is practice, and we practice bringing this damn show on the air each and every weekend. It's an adventure each and every time. Ladies and gentlemen, as Lord VX just said in the chat room, that is one cheesy intro. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your cheesiest of all podcasts. This is the Sunday Night Extravaganza, and I am your comely host. I am Menoth John, president for life of Warmachine and Hordes, and with me, of course, is my co-host with the mo-host, the wind beneath my wings, the man that keeps it all on the rails, Mr. John Spencer.
Hey, Brushheads.
And with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored. We are bringing on one of the great video production folks in all of internets. You know her as Wargamer Girl. You may know her as Miranda. Welcome, Miranda, to the show.
Why, hello all. Hello, Brushheads. John. Other John. How are you?
You know, the great thing about this show is that you can say John, and it can be literally anyone. It keeps it simple.
It covers both your bases at once.
It's like two in one. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is your Sunday Night Extravaganza. We have a hell of a show lined up for us tonight, we hope. It's literally anybody guesses when we bring the show online, as we are wont to do. And I forgot to go get that model that I primed over there by the priming station, so I may have to jump up at some point and actually go get that thing. Yeah, it's Raluk Moreclaw was going to be the thing I was going to paint today. But that could still happen. You
should paint him pink.
Oh, he'll have pink on him somewhere. He'll have him pink on somewhere. That's for sure, because it's a troll. Trolls have to have pink on them. That's how it works. Miranda, this is your first time on the show, so we're very excited to have you on here.
Why, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
This is not the first podcast we've been on together. We did a Wargamer Hangout with Codex Dan many moons ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yes. And that was probably when I was even less gray than I am now. But one of the things we do here on the show, as we are we're a drinking podcast with a painting problem, is we like to start off with a beverage update. And I am tonight having from New Glarus Brewing Company. We're going to try and not die tonight on the air by drinking too much.
Mistake.
We're going to go with two women from New Glarus Brewing Company. It's super legit, totally sweet. John, what do you have for this evening?
I've got an old school cherry Coke with some black cherry whiskey in it.
Oh my God, that's a throwback right there, folks. That's the sign of quality professional podcasting when you have a callback to your own beverage. And Miranda, what will you be drinking this evening?
I've got some hot green tea with lemongrass.
And do you know what's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. You know, we don't care if people drink alcohol, but if they do, they're welcome to. But if they want to have tea, then that shows. It's interesting. You're having green tea, but you've never heard of yoga. I sense an inconsistency in the force.
Whatever you're talking about.
Exactly.
I've been facetious, perhaps?
So, if you are interested in what that joke just meant, you can become a patron and get the pre-ramble audio as a free benefit of your patronage. So we'll go into that in a little bit. We'll get this is the business section. I just poured myself some Kraken because, a little bit of Kraken goes a long way. And, hey, Ron.
Ron.
Oh boy, that's going to be good. That's going to warm up the old spirits. Slipping into this show is like putting on a comfortable pair of slippers that has broken glass lined in throughout the whole bottom of them. So let's go ahead and we've got the beverage update out of the way. Let's talk a little bit about patronage, folks. As you know, we have some very cool things that if you want to support the show, you can. We have I'm holding right now the Crony Inner Circle bottle opener, where if you are at the $5 pledge level, you get a bottle opener. This helps you get into your favorite alcoholic beverage or soda pop. Works on both ways. I recommend that you use it for soda pop if you're driving. If you are using it for alcohol, do not drive. If you are texting, definitely do not use it with alcohol because bad things can happen when you text when you're drunk. If you want to support the show, that's down here, www.patreon.com/menothjohn. We accept everybody. We're a very accepting show. We're very open-minded. We're cohesive. We're synergistic. We're all those best words that you hear in a business thing, but, we're going to give you entertainment on top of it. And we have a new member, John, of the cabinet of President for Life, Menoth John.
What we got?
His name is Michael Tisdale, and
Okay.
he has sent in the information that he needs to out of page 334 of the Crony Handbook, declaring what benefit he wants for what department. And I will now read what he has sent to us, as I am wont to do. President for Life, Menoth John. I'd like to state for the record, he gets it right out of the chute. He gets the title right. He's got the right formals. He's paying the respects, which I love. I, Michael Tisdale, will humbly take my role as the director of the Department of Religious Education. John, did you know we had one of those?
Nope.
Didn't know we had religion, but now we do. So, Shazam!
Yay!
Shazam! You'll notice that I invoked a Greek god there. So my first official act will be preparing more racks to help with recruitment into the protectorate. My department will also be setting up camps, in quotation marks, to help new followers of the Protectorate of Menoth get all the education and support they will need to become devout followers. Thank you for the appointment, Mr. President. Once again, showing the respects. I hope to do you proud. Director of the Department of Religious Education, Michael Tisdale. Mike, welcome to the cabinet. We're a salty bunch, and I hope that that you won't be too deeply offended, as clearly you are a good Menite. But we can get a little raucous at the cabinet meetings, if you will. So, but welcome. Super happy to have you. If anybody else wants to join, remember, cronyism at any level. We prefer the kind that fold. We'll take the kind that jingle. And get on over there to patreon.com/menothjohn, and we'll welcome you in. So I have started sending out the bottle openers, the stickers, all that stuff. Those of you who are in foreign lands, I have put them in the United States Postal Service. Someday they will get to you. Literally someday. I don't know when. Could be any time. Don't
They're
hate
hit or
them.
miss. Sometimes they're quick. Sometimes, oh my lord.
John, I sent one to New Zealand.
Oh,
I don't know
that
how.
one's tough.
I don't know how.
It was about 5 weeks back in the day.
I don't know how mail gets to New Zealand, to be honest. I think they tie it to a sea turtle,
they
or
get
what
a
do they do?
waterproof pouch and they put it on sea turtles.
Sea
exactly.
turtles, yeah, exactly.
They
And
swim
then
it there.
I was
because
gonna say they'll drop shipment, but sea turtles are better.
I was thinking that maybe they put it to hobbits. Maybe they had they called an eagle, and then the eagle showed up with a hobbit, and then you gave it to the hobbit, and then the hobbit flew it back. But that doesn't work because that would be a direct route, and we all know that hobbits don't take eagles to anyway expedite a story.
Oh my! Eventually, we'll get into that. We'll talk about that eventually, but not this time. Today is not that day.
Okay, so become a patron if you want. If you don't want to, that's okay too. Just glad you're here. We have 26 people with us tonight. God bless you all for being here. If this is your first time watching the Painting with Menoth John show, promise it's going to get better. And then, so on this coming Friday, at Warmachine Weekend, we have a very special thing. It's the first time ever. We're going to be doing Painting with Ben John live, like more live, like in person. And we're going to be screening the Turkish Star Wars, which will be super legit and totally sweet.
It's already with my stuff, so I can't forget it.
Miranda, are you familiar
how
with
much I want to?
Are you familiar with
Sorry.
Are you familiar?
Turkish? No.
Okay, so just a little bit of background for our guest because we value our guest.
Don't watch it ever.
Turkish Star Wars, and I'll send you a link. You don't worry about that. I'm a terrible human. The Turkish Star Wars. So in Turkey, they don't have a lot of money for movies, but they want to.
They don't
And
really care about copyright laws so much.
not even a little. And so what they did was they took a couple of their most famous Turkish actors. I'm sure you know all of them. And
No doubt.
yeah. And I'm not trying. By the way, this is not racist. I just don't know any Turkish actors. And
Right, it's just nationalist. Go ahead.
exactly. And I'm American. So there you go.
It's just getting awkward quickly.
Yeah. Well, the Turkish Star Wars, they basically took like clips off of YouTube, and they're projecting them on a screen behind somebody this guy wearing like an aviator helmet that they got from like the spare parts bin from their jet, and they filmed a movie, and I can't really understand what's going on, and then all of a sudden like horses happen, and there's a cavalry scene, and they're beating each other up, and then this guy with a bad luchador mask shows up, and he's the big bad. I guess he's the Emperor or Darth Vader or something like that. It's really it's art. It's hard to explain art, and it's a lot like art in that
Some of
respect.
that high art stuff.
It's fucking concept based. You know, it's more understandable than a lot of Laurie Anderson's early work.
Oh,
And there you go. There's a reference that some people might get. And there you go. So it's we're going to be showing that and I hope that if you're at Warmachine Weekend and you're a brushhead, that you'll come, because if we do the show live to an entire empty room, that's going to be awkward.
Slightly.
And we're going to bring booze. So if you like booze and you like this show, which kind of goes hand in hand,
pretty much.
then show up and we'll give you booze for hanging around. It's going to be super legit and totally sweet. And then we're going to show you a bad movie, and then we're going to talk, and I'm going to do some demonstrations of painting, I guess. Basic techniques. I'm going to be painting something that is, talking about base coats and washes and dry brushes and, shit I'm qualified to talk about. And so that's going to be Friday. And then one last bit of business before we turn the spotlight to you, Miranda, because that's my creepy voice. We established that during the pre-ramble. We're going to. I want to talk a little bit about a game called Guild Ball.
What?
Holy friggin' crap! Is that game good? So I had my first 2 games this weekend, John.
I heard. Oh, how'd they go?
Well, I felt I should get my games in, considering I'm already a pundit, and
Good call.
and so if I'm gonna be like an official supporter of it, I should probably play the game once. And it was amazing. So I played Ben Lang, who some of you may remember from Power Couple Deathmatch. Ben Lang was teamed up, I believe, with a game. Oh, that's right. His match in that one was with any game other than Warmachine and Hordes. So,
Yes.
So we had Power Couple Deathmatch, Miranda, where we created these couples and then we played games, and it was super amazing. But it went on way too long. And but Ben Lang and I played Guild Ball, and he played the Brewers and I played the Engineers, and because I'm an engineer, and so I lost both games because I'm Menoth John, and then that's what I do, I lose. But I really enjoyed the Engineers, and the thing I like about the game is that it's very simple from a rule standpoint, but there is a lot of tactical depth. The individual plays that the individual sort of character traits that each of the different characters have really lend themselves to a lot of strategic depth, especially when you get it up to having 6 models on the board for each team. And it's a very low model count type of a game. and it is
Not to interrupt, but it's described as tabletop fantasy medieval football.
yes, it's
But it's
actually
a 6-man football team.
yes,
Okay.
yep. So it's smaller than Blood Bowl, and so it's really good as far as that's concerned. So let's compare and contrast because I think a lot of people know what Blood Bowl is, and they may not know what Guild Ball is.
Blood Bowl is my jam.
Yeah, Blood Bowl's amazing, and Blood Bowl's really fun. Blood Bowl has a lot of random, oh my god, this guy just died forever type of things on it. This game has you can get taken out, but you will come back in on the game. So it gives you there's some incentive to kind of press your advantage and things like that. Imagine if a Warmachine style rule set got laid on top of a Blood Bowl style of battle, so to speak. So you're pushing a ball around. You gain momentum by pushing the ball, by passing the ball, or by doing damage to another player and things like that. And you get 4 points for kicking a goal, which each of your players has a different kick statistic, and you have to have a 4+ to hit the goal. So it's got that kind of the bucket of dice mechanic that a lot of GW games have. And you get 4 extra dice on a charge when you attack somebody. So there was a time that I was rolling 10 dice against somebody, and I was hitting them on a 3+. And then you've got, on the back of it, you have these like columns of damage of things that could happen. And if you go past the number of columns you have, you wrap around, so you get to do 2 bad things to them per turn. Holy cow, is that a great mechanic? So I'm going to knock you down and cause a momentum to happen, and then I'm going to also do 2 points of damage because I hate you. And it's really amazing. So I really, really, really like it. And did the show begin yet, or am I just lost? We get that. We get that a lot here, Sammy C1. And so anyway, I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. I think I'll probably produce a Guild Ball Basics kind of a video and put it up. But it's my new jam. I am thoroughly expecting to play a whole lot more Guild Ball at Warmachine weekend than I play Warmachine, and especially since my brewers are very brightly colored, and I like that. So, by the way, brewers, just to give you an indication of the two guilds that we played were engineers and brewers. Brewers knock you down and then kill the shit out of you. Engineers generate momentum, which is really, really important for going first and for doing lots of extra cool things during the course of a turn. They generate that stuff like it's frickin' candy. And so it's really... I got into a hand-on-hand combat kind of a match against brewers, and obviously I lost that one. But the engineers are really fun to play. So when they describe the engineers as retribution, that it's a very good analogy in that they want to hit you and move and kind of get going. They want to use their ability to move around and kind of ping you from a distance more than kind of get up and beat face. From a Khador standpoint, if I was playing Khador, I would be all in on the Butchers. Because the Butchers Guild throw more damn dice at you than you can possibly imagine, and they kill you right dead. They're just really good at knocking you out of the game.
Well, I guess there's 8 guilds
Yeah.
in the game. What's the fisherman's one about? Can you describe that one to me? Their icon is amazing.
I hear they're more circle-like, a little more shenanigan-y movement.
They're very fast. They're very good at kicking. They're very good at scoring goals. So the way that they're going to win is they're not going to damage you per se. They're going to take the ball, they're going to move it past you very quickly and very easily, and they're going to get over to the goal and they're going to score. Whereas the Butchers are not necessarily going to score a lot of goals, but pretty much the whole of their team is going to leave the pitch at one time or another. So, but the fishermen look super amazing models too. All these models are super fun to paint, and are really, really well done.
They look really nice. I'm looking at the picture they've got here for, I guess, season 2.
Yeah.
A compound and a chisel from the Masons Guild.
Yep, and I've heard the Masons are a little bit more difficult for newer players, but that they've done a good job of. So it's one much like Warmachine, different guilds have different learning curve sort of steepness, and have maybe higher skill caps later on.
Sure.
But a lot of people have been enjoying the Fisherman. I think Brett Painter, John, bought some Fishermen.
I think that's what he's got. I haven't actually checked.
And I'm very excited to get some more games in. I mean, it's really catching on. There are like 4 people that are interested in the Chicago area, so I'm going to be driving. I'll be driving down to Chicago to play this game frequently. It looks like. So.
All right. Well, you think this is going to be the spiritual successor to Blood Bowl, since that game only exists in the digital format anymore?
You know, it certainly is trying to be a spiritual success. It's like Blood Bowl and Warmachine had a love child, and that this is kind of what you got. So it's a little less wacky than Blood Bowl, and some people who play Blood Bowl may miss that. But I think it's less, because it's a little less wacky. It may turn out to be something that people who want to play a more strategic game are going to gravitate towards. For me, it was super cool to take my big... I play the Engineers, so I've got Colossus, which is this guy who's like riding this mechanical spider thing, and he's just... God, that guy hits hard. Holy shit, that guy hits hard. And so it feeds it scratches a lot of itches that Warmachine does for me. But without only having to have 6 painted models.
Well, but you're saying you're exploring other guilds as well, so it's more than just 6 models. Unless, I mean, does your list stay the same from game to game, or do you end up changing stuff out?
Right now, because I'm just brand new to this, I just have Engineers and I just have Brewers. There are like mercenaries that you can bring in that will play for multiple different guilds and stuff like that. And I haven't looked at too many of those yet, but I've heard that some of those are quite faction changing when you get into them. Much like bringing like a Rupert or an Alexia or some of the other mercenaries from Warmachine and Hordes in. So it looks really amazing.
It does.
All right.
So just Dowdark in the chat room just mentioned that the whole Advanced Maneuvers crew is giving it a go with one or more of the teams. So expect to see some videos from Advanced Maneuvers, who did do a wonderful job of video production as well, which brings us an amazing segue, because I am the king of segues, to you, Miranda. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring up we're going to switch the focus over to you. And... oh, that's terrible. Hang on, I got to do something about this. So right now, yeah, okay, we don't want the up the John nose cam again. We did that one before. That doesn't really work so well. All right, so there we go. So I came up with this new camera setup for when I have a guest on, or when John is doing the movie section, where I can feature the Skype in the big window. And then I put myself in the little window on the side, okay? And normally it's my painting cam, but we're just kind of chatting it up right now. And Raluk Moreclaw's way the hell over there, and I'm not going to get him just yet. So last time I did this, I had to point the camera like up at me from the corner over here. So I was like totally looking up my nose. It was ridiculous. We're not going to do that tonight.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because we're all about production values, high production values here at Painting with Menoth, John. So Miranda, I've been a fan of your stuff for a long time. The work that you've done on your YouTube channel and the video production quality that you bring to the community. I mean, you're one of the old school video producers from the Warmachine and Hordes community.
Gosh, I guess anymore. It's kind of true, isn't it? There's been a lot that have cropped up in the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's been if you go back, I mean, you've been doing video production now for a solid
3.5 years.
I was gonna say 4 years, and even from day one, Miranda, your stuff has been just top notch quality.
Oh, I don't know about that. I've looked back at some of my first videos and I was like, oh, well, that's amateur, but okay.
Well, but compared to the train wreck that is uniquely painting with Minoth John, I mean, your stuff looks absolutely amazing. So please take the compliment. How did you get into the video production angle, and how did you see your niche within this video kind of media?
So I played Warmachine, well, a little bit of Warmachine back in Mark 1. Like I had the little starter box, not with Butcher, but with Sorsha, and the Destroyer and the Juggernaut and the black and white cards. And I couldn't really get into the game in Mark 1. But back in, 2011, I guess? I was getting back into the game after Mark 2 had been around a while. And it's, it seemed fun because I'd been out of Wargaming for a while because I started with 40K and, that kind of runs you ragged after a while. And so, but I had just not played in a while. And so getting back into it, I'd gone down to the game store and was learning about the rules. But, online, YouTube's an amazing resource. So I started looking it up online and seeing that, hey, these are tutorials that people are showing on how to play a game or battle reports. Like, this is awesome. Like, then of course, after a while, I was like, I could do this. So that's more or less how that started. So after I had gotten kind of reacquainted with Mark II and been playing for, I don't know, almost a year, then I made my first video.
So, I mean, my introduction to podcasting was very similar to your introduction to doing that as well. I mean, back in the day when I started working on Lost Hemisphere Radio, it pretty much came out of Guts and Gears, being on their podcast 1,000 years ago, and Chris Miller and I looking at each other and go, well, shit, we can do that, and the rest is sort of podcast history over the years, all the different crazy crap I've gotten myself invested in. Now, you use the thing that always impressed me about your videos right from the very beginning was the fact you used a lot of special effects, and like you used to have explosions and stuff like that on there. How did you do some of that? Oh, I can remember seeing like explosions on your videos, or maybe I'm having a senior moment.
I had some shorts and stuff that involved explosions. And that was a real explosion. I used Pyrex. I don't recommend it. But anyway, for the videos, well, I mean, I've always been a fan of independent films or movies in general. And always wanted to be involved in it. I have friends who work in on minor levels of the industry and stuff. So of course, when I approach it, making like the battle reports or whatever, I already had Premiere, Adobe Premiere, and so it was a lot easier to edit in than what I imagine would be like Sony Vegas or Windows Movie Maker or whatever Mac uses, and so getting into that, it was just a little easier to put things together. And then I was learning editing at the time, so you can tell that's kind of progressed as we've gone in videos. But first, special effects, I mean, that I have an animator, so like that helps a whole lot. Obviously, the person who did the logo, that came later. That was a huge help. I mean, not everything is me when it comes to the special effects parts. Like I play games and I edit videos, and then I feel pretty good about myself for doing that much.
So you mentioned the fact that you use Premiere from Adobe, and how did you develop those skills? Was that something that you had done as a part of work, or was it kind of just YouTube, or how did you go about it?
It was a hobby to begin with, actually, because like editing or trying to put together shorts or whatever. Like I had the software, so that was just and it had been obviously taught to me from someone else who already had it, and so it was just out of my own personal interest that I picked up that the editing software. Cool,
because I mean I've tried to use Premiere on a few times, and basically ripped my hair out in the process. I imagine once you get used to the interface, it's relatively streamlined and pretty easy to use. I've gotten better at Photoshop. From my standpoint, Photoshop, the worse a job you do with Photoshop, sometimes the better it is. And
okay.
I embrace the cheesiness. And but your stuff is super legit. So I was kind of curious on how you went about learning the different how you got good at Premiere Pro.
Well, I mean, Premiere Pro isn't actually all that different. At least the one I use wasn't really all that different from like Avid. And several years back, a long time ago actually, I used to work for like a photography studio, and they were editing still images on Avid before the whole HD revolution had come. And I was already familiar with cleaning up stuff in Photoshop there. And, you know, when you get used to Adobe products, there's a lot of carryover.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew Photoshop. I had learned a little bit about Avid working there. Then kind of coming back and learning about Premiere, it didn't look all that different. And it always comes down to what's your 10, right? Like what's going to be the most intimidating for you? Because like my animator, he'll open up 3D Studio Max and that looks like some magic stuff that I couldn't even begin to describe. Like there are so many tools in there. Whereas like Premiere, and I don't even use all of it, right? Like you get in there and you're going to use just, you know, what you're familiar with, and you might explore it, but I haven't taken an official class to learn what everything in there does. So admittedly, I'm not even fully utilizing that program, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I use the stuff that I use to get the effects that I want to get with the show that I have. I mean, I'm much better at things like Audacity and the audio side of it. I'm a lot more familiar with. This show has given me the opportunity. Oh my God, Tin Man XL is in the house.
Oh wow, hi Tin Man.
We got another OG of the video revolution going on here. So the yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I need to get better at that. Once upon a time, I used to do some battle reports on this channel as well, and you know, editing those got to be to the point where I didn't have the time to do it. So I do need to step back, though. I pay for the Adobe Creative Suite, for God's sakes. I should probably utilize it more than to make cheeky thumbnails for the damn videos I put up weekly.
Are you using the cloud service?
Yeah, and real happy with it because, you know, it's not that much money a month, and you get the whole suite, and I should probably, you know, utilize it more than I do. I barely scratch the surface of what Photoshop can do, let alone what anything else can do. Of course, mostly when I'm doing this show, I'm bringing it in on fumes in the last 10 minutes before the show comes anyway. If I get a decent Photoshop thumbnail for the show, I was like, well, victory.
Good enough. Print, flatten, save, JPEG, I don't care here.
Ping, whatever. I got it. Aces. Well, shit, that didn't work. Well, next week will be better. Next week is.
And there's so many of those moments. I mean, it's actually normally I would avoid live streams because there's always some technical difficulty I'm dealing with. There's multiple times when I'm editing something, and I'll be like,
technical difficulty, you say? Technical difficulty, you say? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there we go. Well, I tell you, this is I appreciate that because the video production portion of it is something that I basically would turn to Dowdark and say, buddy, pal, suppose you can do something for me because I suck at this, and it'll take you like 2 minutes, and then he's nice to me and pities me.
Dowdark is the man. He's nice to everyone. He's done a lot of help for the Pillars of Salt guys too.
Yeah, he's a hell of a good guy. So let's talk a little bit about your involvement with the game a little bit, and actually let's talk a little bit about how the game has perhaps changed a little bit here in the recent past. We just lost one of the stalwart formats of the game. We lost hardcore.
Yeah, I have to say I'm a little sad about it. I really liked that format.
It's a you know, back in the day, it was everything that Masters and Iron Gauntlet was today combined. That was the world champion of Warmachine, was the hardcore player.
Well, I didn't realize it had that much influence.
Well, I'm just one man.
I mean,
you know.
The big thing I really enjoyed about it was that it was the closest I had ever seen to forcing players to take an all-comers approach, and it cut out that side game of list chicken or, you know, determining how you're going to game the opponent because they brought this list for this kind of player and this list for this kind of player. Obviously with the painting requirements, it also made it easier just having one list, but I don't know. I thought it was really cool just having your one army to take against everyone there.
Yep. And the 7-minute turns were a thing. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's no effing around in hard. It is a. If you have a bad heart, that format was not for you.
Kind of. I mean, I've played it. I played it once at Adepticon, not this year, but the year before, and I brought an old witch infantry list. Super brilliant.
Oh.
Yeah, no bueno. No bueno.
No
there.
way, it worked great. I don't even know. Like, I got in the zone and I activated everything every turn. I don't know. Like,
That's
I can't
awesome.
even do that right now. If I were to play again, I'd be like 7-minute turn, like to determine what I'm going to do. What do you mean? But yeah, it was just really exciting, and you get this whole adrenaline thing, and I think that whole event, I was playing there for like 7 hours, and so by the end you're totally wiped, but it's still really exciting.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
I would say that the best comment I heard about it was someone who said that hardcore died as soon as Death Clock came out, because honestly, organizers can't take two clocks easily, two types of clocks. So that really killed it, unfortunately. Though it does mean that it's open for everyone else. You don't have to go by any PP, suggested rules. They can do their own, if you will, house rules of how they want their hardcore to be at their events now. And 7-minute time turns can be there as long as you want to bring the kitchen timers.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And learning how to play this game with a kitchen timer is actually pretty damn useful, even under a Death Clock universe, where you force yourself to activate all those models in a limited amount of time. It's for realsies. The Guild Ball equivalent is 2-minute turns, and I can't even identify with that.
I learned Blood Bowl, the tabletop game, on 2-minute turns.
So
Yeah,
that's not a version of Guild
That
Ball.
sounds horrible.
That's not a version of Guild Ball I want to play just yet.
it's a totally different experience in any game, honestly. It just gets you used to making your decisions quick. You're not always doing the right thing, but you're doing something.
So, Miranda, tell me a little bit. Now, you live in Albuquerque, which is actually a place I have a little bit of familiarity with. I was on the startup.
Right. Big cereal plant factory.
Yep. I was down there helping to start that place up when I was a younger man, and I put on 10 pounds because of that town. Because of play. I don't even know if the place even exists anymore. There was a sports bar called Spectators, and they had some of the best damn ribs ever. I used to live up towards Tramway, and so it's
that's where I am.
Yeah, that's nice area, by the way. And I used to live up there, and so what is the meta like in Albuquerque? Because that is not a place I've played this game. I'm always interested to learn more about what metas are like in various and sundry different parts of the world and country.
Well, I mean, it's small. There's definitely more of a 40K presence here in Albuquerque. Albuquerque loves its sci-fi. We have so much 40K and so much infinity here.
That's kind of cool.
But fantasy and Warmachine and Malifaux and all that kind of take a back seat to it. So we do have a really small meta. There's a game store really, really close to my house on this side of town. And for those of you not familiar with Albuquerque, it's a fairly widespread city, even though the population is only right around 1 million, like including all the metros and outer areas. So we have kind of the store on the west side and the store on the east side of town. And for the most part, people will just go to their closer stores. And there's been a very valiant effort to cross over, not as much by me, admittedly, but a very valiant effort by most of the meta to crossovers just to have more players, because I think each store on average has between 4 to 6 people show up for gaming nights.
Okay.
So it's not large. I mean, for the most part on my channel, and it was kind of interesting when I started doing the after battle chats, because I'm like, well, everyone's going to see all the players of Albuquerque here and they're going to repeat. So, all right. But so it's not bad. There's not. I'm trying to think of how much how many of the factions are really represented. Whenever I first started, for whatever reason, almost everyone here played Retribution. which was really weird because apparently nobody
That's
did
weird.
when I was getting back into it. And now nobody really plays it, but it's like we've got Signar, we've got a really strong Circle player, we've got a really strong Trolls player, couple Crix players, little bit of Legion, but like one guy, and I'm trying to get a battle report for a Legion game actually, and that's a little tricky. Not much in the way of we've got some men off. I'm the only Khador player so far, so it's tiny.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, now you described there's a store on the west side and the east side. Are you more towards the north end of town, or are you more towards the south end of town?
I am in the Northeast Heights.
Okay.
So I go to the East Side store,
Okay.
which is pretty much walking distance from me. So
Wow, that's really cool.
That's legit.
Very
it's
cool.
not walking distance with a 50-pound Warmachine bag on your back, but it is technically walking distance.
Well,
Fair enough.
if you're bringing the jacks, that's a for realsy thing.
I don't. Yeah, I have pretty much every jack for Khador, which is a little heartbreaking considering you don't get to play that many jacks in Khador.
True.
Which is kind of the reason I picked the faction, because I love the robots and I wanted the big stompy robots, and I wanted to play a game where big stompy robots rule the field, and I'm really hoping that it pushes more toward that again.
I hope so for your sake, because that's right now. I mean, the most you ever see them play is one to eat up their warjack points, and not a whole lot
Right?
more.
Because it's required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my locals actually has been running with 3 in his list between Butcher 2 and also like 4 in his Zerkova 2 list. So there's some
wow.
builds out there, but you really got to look for them.
Yep.
Well, there are, and it's not like you have a whole lot of variety either. I mean, with
Yeah.
Khador, you're like, well, you're gonna look at the reach jacks right away. Spriggan was top for a long time. Beast 09 still is amazing. Ruin's gonna probably replace Spriggan as far as usefulness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And as far as other warjacks, like I was really excited about the Growler because of the auto knockdown. But I mean, when are you gonna use a Marauder? Berserkers are, unless they make
Berserkers
them
are spammable, yeah.
faster. Unless
And
they make them
destroyers,
faster, 'cause
yeah.
they die to shooting.
Yeah. I'm sorry. On behalf, as president of Warmachine and Hordes, I promise within the next year that you will have a caster that actually knows how to play jacks. There. Let's go put it out there. Within the year, you will see the announcement of a jack caster. Unless Matt Wilson gives me static like he is known to do, then perhaps I can't deliver on this promise. But as a politician, you know that my promises, they're like fucking gold. So
Miranda, have you tried to use Andrei Malikov at all to get an extra jack in there?
I got him back when the Kickstarter was done, and just to throw in there, Sham Boom Love Foo. Yes, you're right. We don't have our Signar player anymore for a while, but we might have another one if I can talk him into playing again.
I'll sell him. I'll sell him my Signar.
Yeah, we have Signar. He has Signar. He's just
I'll sell him more.
worked out on the game. But yeah, I have Andrei Malikov. I got him right when they shipped the little Kickstarter exclusives. Got him assembled. Got him painted up. And I'm pretty sure he's in my first battle report with the Growler, actually. He's the one leading the Growler. So he's in a battle report, and I've used him somewhat. His lore, though, he's such a bastard that it's kind of hard to want to use him very much, because I never feel bad. Like, someone scalps him out, I'm like, good on you, dude. Thanks.
Well, let's be honest.
This is service to the motherland as far as I'm concerned. Bastard. You
I
can get
would
your
say-
caster killed hanging out near him.
At least a third of your casters kind of have that problem too.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them are right bastards, with the exception of Harkovich. Harkovich
Well-
is an awesome dude.
Harkovich is a really good guy. Irisk, he's just straight military. I mean, he's not a good guy, but
can't
he's
fault him.
not like crazy. I've got
Sure,
nothing to say
he's
about
crazy.
Bishop.
You know, I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop the entire show, but I feel like I have to stop the entire show right now, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen. In our presence is the true benefactor of the Painting with Men Off the John show, ladies and gentlemen. Chili Winters has entered the building. Chili Winters is in the chat room. So for those of you who have always wanted the opportunity to interact one-on-one with Chili Winters, he is now in the chat room. So make sure you get there and interact with Chili Winters. All right, there you go. Okay, we're back to the show.
Oh, interesting.
The heck were we talking about?
Oh,
Sorsha's also military. I love all the traditional military casters.
Yeah.
If you notice, like the
Sorsha's amazing.
Well, I think the old witch is just fantastic, but she is my weird caster. So
You got to have your weird caster. I got Mosar. He's kind of my weird caster. You get old witch. John, who's your weird caster?
As far as this, like, weird, as far as a weird person,
Yeah.
I don't know. Fat Bottom Girl's pretty weird. Calandra is kind of a weird bit of work.
I knew who you meant.
Yeah, I mean, Gypsy Chick is kind of bizarre. You know, it's funny, Miranda. As much as I call myself Menoth John, I couldn't look at Menoth less. I mean, I'm all in on trolls so hard it doesn't even. What's a Menoth? I hear they have a Judicator, and that's about as far as I give a shit about that faction anymore.
Respect for the Judicator. Judicator started this show.
Oh, absolutely. Judicator is yeah, exactly. Do you know how this show started, Miranda?
I don't.
Okay, so every show deserves an origin story, and this is mine. So this is gonna shock you. I'm glad you're sitting down. I couldn't get a date for New Year's Eve in going on 4 years ago.
Fancy wargamer like you.
I know, right? I mean, I'm all handsome and shit. I look like George Clooney if he was in a car accident, and you know, who doesn't want to date this? I mean, let's be honest. And so I was sitting at my home, and I was like, you know what? There's probably more than just me sitting at home on a New Year's Eve, and so I decided. And so yeah, you were there from literally day one, and back then it was on Ustream because I needed trolls to watch my show, and so I went on Ustream, and this happened. I had a really good time, and I was painting my Judicator on my kitchen table in my mom and dad's house, God rest their soul, and it just became a thing, and then one thing led to another, and my original host, who was in Utah, we went our separate ways, and then John became the official host of co-host with the most, the wind beneath my wings, the man that keeps us on track. He has a lot of roles. Mostly, he's the guy that monitors everything and kicks idiots out of the chat room because he's a boss.
You missed one earlier, John.
I know I did not miss that one earlier.
Oh God. Yeah.
So but he takes good care of us, and the show has been here ever since. So this is the podcast that was born due to loneliness. And the more you know.
Beautiful and not surprising story.
I think we've got some questions, John, that we can field. That
at least a couple.
Miranda, you're absolutely delightful. I'm so glad that you're with us here this evening, and I look forward to hearing some of the answers to these. And the thing you have to love about our viewers is that they're way more respectful than beer machine viewers. So you won't end up with anything nearly as goofy as those poor guys have to deal with.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, the
Any
first.
Oh my
questions?
God, Codex Dan is in the house. Holy shit!
Yeah.
This is
Popped in. Let's go.
Yay, Dan! Dan, I miss you. I haven't seen you since that time in Adepticon, and it'll always be a special time for me. So, you mean a lot. Anyway, moving right along.
Shamboom LeFou asks, who is Thomas Wilcox? I see his name in almost every video in the credits.
He's the guy who taught me editing, actually, and he's also my animator, which should be credited on those same credits if you're looking at them. CGI, bye. So, like, the logo was done by him. He's also the Signar player. I'd love to try and talk into playing Signar, maybe eventually, again, someday. But yeah, he taught me everything I know on editing, and he's also who I co-ran the Kickstarter with for my terrain, the Clockwork terrain. He designed that model that we 3D printed and poured for 18 months. So,
But
good
that
guy.
but that was super legit and awesome. And I kick myself for not getting any of that terrain because it's beautiful. You guys did a great
That's because
job.
I'm not making it anymore.
I know, right? I know, and I'm not going to ask you for any because I know I can only imagine how tragic. I looked at, man, when that Kickstarter happened, I was like, I looked at the dates that you committed to things, and I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah, I was realizing that pretty early on. I'm like, why did I do this? But to be fair, like, we learned so much about the molding process and resin pouring process through that. Because whenever we had just first started, our molds were holding up fine. We didn't know that pouring almost 5,000 pieces.
Holy
Like, we'd have
Christopher.
to remake molds so many times, and that process kept evolving because we kept having to try and find better material to hold up longer. And I mean, it was just we realized it wasn't anything we were going to learn without going through that process. So it's over and done with. And now we learned that injection molded plastic is fantastic. And, really, really good way to go if you can do it.
And you're on deck, John.
All right. Let me get a question in here while I take care of some stuff. Let's get one here. So there we go. From Wargame Chronicle, he wants to know, can you give some thoughts on new player to Warmachine and best way to get into Kador? Specifically Journeyman League types of stuff, maybe using the Butcher.
I'm not a huge fan of the Journeyman League format. And I hate the Butcher, so my advice is going to be horribly biased, just to preface it. The all-in-one army boxes are a fantastic start, or the 2-player starter boxes, because I don't know how easy to get the all-in-one army boxes are anymore. And if you're interested in Kador, I mean, Butcher will treat you well. You'll win a lot of games because he hits really hard. I won't be rooting for you, but that's cool. And I'm trying to remember the Journeyman League format, because is that the one that starts off at the real low, like 15 points per while, and it keeps growing?
Yeah, it starts with a battle group, then goes up like 15, 25, such.
And it's kind of hard because with Kador, you start in with a caster and 2 jacks, so you're on the back foot just to start with.
They're actually pretty good in the early one. Sorsha's so crazy good.
Sorsha won, but he's talking about doing Butcher, so.
Butcher would be pretty good too, because he can put the kids to bed. As we said.
Unless people just dodge or knock down the jack and then just murder him. I mean, it depends, right? It's a little harder because you have nowhere to hide. You need a lot of infantry typically as the games grow. So you'll end up tossing a jack aside pretty early on. I don't know what jack runs best with Butcher. I imagine, obviously, Ruin now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You want to go dropping $60 for your introduction into the game on top of whatever you already spent. So, I mean, all-in-one is the easy way to go. The 2-player starter box is cool if you want to split it with somebody because they have a Kador versus Mena box. And the Shock Troopers,
they're fun.
Can be used. They're fine, yeah. How big does the Journeyman League go up to? Is that 35 points?
I thought 35
usually.
yeah.
Yeah. So by the end of it, I don't know what all you're going to be running in there. Probably Doom Reavers. You'll want to pick up Fenris if you're running Butcher because he's psycho and they all synergize really well and stuff. Really, you should play like Iris or Vlad. Vlad runs Jax really well. Vlad won. And Sorsha's just solid all around, both of them. Like if you're playing Kador, obviously you're gonna rotate casters. So if you do Butcher, do like Sorsha and Iris, I would say would be a good mix.
Cool.
And good infantry to get. Doom Reavers if you're running Butcher. If you're running Sorsha, Winter Guard, Death Star is fantastic and one of my favorites. You're going to stick pretty much with 1 jack. Widowmakers are a really good supplement, and something like Ayana and Halt, or maybe Saxon Warwick, just to help you out with Pathfinder as you get on with your game playing. Does that sound like a full-fledged answer?
Man, that's a hell of an answer.
Absolutely.
That's way better an
I
answer than we usually get. Usually, we shoot for barely coherent alcohol speak from these
I have no
questions.
excuse. I'm drinking tea. So.
I know, right? Why don't you do some? Maybe we can get you to do some yoga, and that'll just complete the whole thing. So.
I was watching how inflexible I am. That's even better.
Oh my god, I'm the most inflexible human on the planet. I think I'm made out of glass. I mean, it's like, it's like downward facing dog, and nope, not gonna go. She ain't gonna make it this week. So there you go. Anyways,
I could try yoga. I used to be flexible.
Yoga's fun. I'm as president of Warmachine and Hordes, I recommend yoga. especially as you get to be an old person like myself.
Yeah. Holy moly.
Yeah.
When you go to the doctor, he's like, "Well, you're old." Thanks, Doc.
Yeah, that's
That
awesome.
helps.
That's awesome. And
All
now,
right, so
we're going to give you that special
There's some random life advice. By the way, while you're fixing, while you're getting in with your Kador faction, also take a yoga class.
Yeah.
Help with the strain. That might actually not be a bad idea because getting into the game is rough. It is a face grind of getting your butt kicked over and over and over until you figure out how it works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and a little yoga can help bring you that inner peace that you're looking for.
And some Zen. Get your Zen going.
Yeah.
So the Zen from when some jerk circle player kills you from 100 feet away from shifting stones that also triggered some other stupid synergy and warpath and everything else I hate. Circle's really frustrating for me.
Yeah, it has more math than I'm willing to accept exists in the universe.
Hey, math is power. Sinbad said so in a commercial all those years ago. It's got to be true.
Fuck yeah. The more you know. Anyway.
All right. Let's get... here's a new one that actually is kind of interesting. It's from Baron Dennis. He says, in many of the videos for Wargame Girl, you seem to be going for Castor Kill, and I'm beginning to wonder if that's your plan for every match.
To be fair, that's always plan B. Forever. Depending on your list, you try not to lose by scenario, and you try to win by scenario if you can, and if there's an opening for a Castor Kill, you take it.
Oh, that's actually really good advice.
I mean, okay, that needs to be qualified. Because if you have a 10% chance of killing that guy, I think it's a stupid proposition.
Fact.
But
depends on how much you got to spend. If it's 10% and you can be safe yourself, 10%, roll them dice.
That's true. That's true. I mean, if it's a no trade situation, or perhaps you're running low on a death clock, then you just got to take the risk.
Yeah.
But it tends to equal out to shorter games. Winning by scenario isn't very easy, and my stuff attrits really well. I have a lot of high attrition stuff, which allows me to kill off, the enemy and hold out, but not necessarily push things out of the zones. Circle can clear things and control areas really well. Retribution can do the same. Signar can do pretty decent. I don't know that my style, maybe not so much Kador even, but certainly not my style, can push people out of zones as much as they need to really win by scenario play. So
that'd be that Marauder coming back to you.
Boom. Comes a Marauder.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let's see. Here's a quick one. I think based on what you said, it's
hey,
from
John.
Wargame Chronicle again.
John, not to interrupt the flow of the show, but that's my job here. We didn't even mention our sponsors tonight.
Oh my goodness, you're
good
pissed.
Lord, hit our sponsors.
So
Good Lord.
Discount Games Incorporated is your best source for online buying things. If you have a shitty local game store, if you have a shitty local game store, buy them from Jay at Discount Games Incorporated. Otherwise, you should buy things at your local game store because they give you a place to play and they have tables and lights and other people. All of that is important. This is a social game. If you need metric terrain from Canada, we suggest Greenleaf Terrain. They provide the greatest in all metric terrain. They have all of their millimeters if you need them. And then there's Games and Gears. They're a sponsor. They have brushes and towels, and they have the stands that your paintbrushes go in. There's a chance they're going to send us some of those new fancy blue handle paintbrushes. So I'm going to be using those. I've committed to Sam that I'll be using those to actually paint on the show.
I just started using the set you gave me. The three brushes in there. I've used two of them. They're really good.
Are they super legit and totally sweet?
They are. I mean, I can actually tell the difference. Just coming from a mediocre painter like myself means something.
There you go. And then KR Multicase. If you don't hate your models, put them in KR Multicase because KR Multicase does not suck. Their foam is like butter, so they will be like on a roll. If they are in your bag with the KR Multicase, it's called. Miranda, they sell the bag that's called the Kaiser too. That is a roll. That is why their foam is like butter. So there you go.
That's awesome.
That is amazing. And they gave me a bag, and I love it very much. And it has all my trolls in it, and I love my trolls. My trolls will only feel the sweet touch of the butter. So anyway, what's the next? That's all of our sponsor shit out of the way, all in one shot. That's what you guys pay for on the Patreon. We're fucking legit. John, you're up.
There's two more. I think both will be pretty quick. Wargame Chronicle wants to know, what are your thoughts about Kings of War and whether you've played it or not?
Haven't played it. Right now I'm playing Wrath of Kings. So WOK versus KOW.
Well played.
Oh!
And the other one is it's a flippy and boop for the two of you. It's choose your own adventure. You have to play Butcher, either of them, for the rest of your Kador life, or take up doing video creation for the comeback return of Teletubbies for 3 seasons.
Oh.
And that's from Dow Dark, because he comes up with those crazy things.
Oh. Man, Teletubbies.
You've forgotten the third option that always exists, and that might be suicide. Because wow, both of those sound horrible.
Teletubbies that's strong medicine.
Super creepy.
What's up with that baby in the sun?
I don't even know. I came across it once on cable, and I'm like, change channel quick. Oh.
And then like the Butcher for the rest of your Kador life? Really? I mean, no variety anymore. I'd have to quit the game, which would make me very sad.
I wouldn't even be able to play one caster for the rest of my career.
I wouldn't actually want to play any one caster for the rest of.
Maybe if it's McBain.
No.
Maybe McBain.
No. I mean, even me with my proselytization of the Jarl from the Fire Mountain list, I'm starting to get tired. Honestly, I mean,
it happens.
I'm tired of my trolls, and that's why the Guild Ball is probably ringing so true for me, because it's all new, shiny. But Al Marshall says I could play Shay forever. It's because he's freaking legit and totally sweet.
And that's because Marshall's a pirate.
Tin Man XL also speaks total truth from the chat room. If they legalize weed, Teletubbies will make a comeback.
And civilization as we know it will be gone.
So
it's quite possible.
So I should probably show during Painting with Menoth John Live a clip from Yogi Okie Dokie and the oh god the hell what the hell is it called the yoga video that was featured on Rhett and Link's Good Mythical Morning. That this, I don't know what this guy's issue was, but he holds yoga classes in the desert in New Mexico, so it might be right up your alley, Miranda. And
sounds like it. I hope it's up in the mountains in some weird cave too.
Probably Taos, and we'll see how it all works out. So anyway, moving right along, flippity bloop.
All right, well that's probably about it for the ones that are related to Miranda there.
Cool. So we have been doing our countdown to the new Star Wars movie here on Painting with Menoth John. We're very excited about all this shit.
I just saw the new trailer, the international trailer. Still no spoilers, but maybe a tiny spoiler. I wouldn't watch it if I were you, John. But
I still haven't watched the other one.
Oh my god, so many cool scenes.
Oh god, Farseer Corwin just showed up, just tuned in. Are we asking questions of Miranda? You better get one in frickin' fast, Corwin.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
So because we're about to launch into our review of The Empire Strikes Back. John, I'm going to bring you up on the Spencer cam. There we go. Boom.
Oh my. Good Lord, where to start with this movie?
By the way, we're at 42 viewers.
Yeah. We've already spoiled the fact that John and I think that this is hands down the best movie of the original trilogy of any of the Star Wars movies. Quite probably one of the best movies ever. And this rewatch didn't dispel that for me at all. It's paced super good. Every time you think you get sick of a scene, it pops to the rest of the characters. They split it up well. Oh my god, it's super good. It also is responsible for the Imperial March, which is one of the most iconic soundtrack themes ever. We didn't talk about soundtrack for Star Wars. Holy moly, the soundtrack's so good.
Yeah.
John Williams is just amazing.
Turns out he's kind of the man on that.
Yeah. And it's just got so many iconic scenes. I mean, the battle on Hoth. So the asteroid battle, a couple years ago, I had heard a remix of the asteroid battle music. So I'm like, man, I want to see that scene again. I watched it on YouTube. I'm like, oh, this must be a cut version. It's only like 2 minutes, or 3 minutes long. And no, That's the whole asteroid scene. Somehow it just seems so much longer.
So let me ask you a question here. Asteroid scene. Best asteroid scene in the Star Wars saga. This asteroid scene or the one in episode, was it 2? That's 2 between Jango Fett and Obi-Wan.
This one's better. That one's not bad, but I think this one's better. It's more tense. It's more exciting. Because it's not about blowing up asteroids and dropping mines and silly crap like that. It's literally just a spaceship chase scene.
Okay, Miranda, your thoughts on that?
You're talking about the asteroid scene where with Han and Leia escaping the destroyer?
Right, and you've got the X-Wings that
Where
are
they hide out on the asteroid?
the TIE fighters that are chasing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't really remember the one from episode 2 because I haven't actually rewatched those movies since I first saw them in the theater. But no, that's a really cool scene just because you really feel like they're in danger. I mean, they're obviously really strong actors, but everything in that whole world has that gritty feel. Like you feel like the Millennium Falcon could get torn apart. It's getting shot at. Han's having to think quick, whereas as I recall from episode 2, everything was so glossy that you never feel like anybody's in danger, so it doesn't have you as invested. So that's why I would say that the Star Wars, well, other than every scene in Empire Strikes Back, wins out over episode 2.
So, okay, and my Warmachine and Hordes wife, Chili Winters, is probably going to divorce me over this, but since I'm good at divorce, I'll go ahead and it's a skill, and I'm the only reason I really liked the one in episode 2, and I'm feeling a little browbeaten at this point, but I'm going to stand up for my point, is that while there were a lot of maybe logical inconsistencies that Chili has just pointed out in the chat window, the sound effects of when the charges go off in the asteroid field, when Jango Fett is trying to kill Obi-Wan, there's dead silence in the mic in the seconds leading up to it, and then and it's such a neat sound effect that they used for it, and I just really liked it.
It's definitely one of the better scenes in that movie. I just don't think it's not really a fair comparison because that's less of a chase, more of a fight. And
sure.
I mean, how are you gonna? You can't fight against nostalgia for one, and honestly, Empire is a much better movie with a much better director.
Oh God, I've certainly hurt my relationship with Chili.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna try and fix this in the chat window.
But we can go more into that in 2 weeks when we review Attack of the Clones, which is funny. Tones don't.
Chili, next week. I love you long time. Anyway, there we go.
So, man, every scene in that movie is great. I mean, I can't even think of like a bad scene in that movie. It's consistently good.
In Empire?
Yeah.
Presumably, I can't imagine you're saying that about episode 2, but
fair.
No.
Fair point. Yeah, not gonna happen in episode 2.
No, it has some really good moments. I mean, there's great lines. Great one-liners. Never tell me the odds.
Amazing one-liners. Yeah.
And everybody feels just there. I don't know. It does have a magic to it. I was watching clips from it earlier at like the asteroid scene where they're escaping the space worm and dealing with Mylox or whatever.
Yep. Mynox, yep.
And it's just, or you see you see Luke on Dagobah, with Yoda, and every scene has reptiles in it. It feels real. You're in this world. There's animals everywhere. It doesn't feel sterile and fake.
Yeah, and you don't explain everything. It's like, why is that thing there? Who cares? It's a swamp world. There's a thing there.
Well, I mean, and there might be a reason for it because there actually was a lot of deep reasoning into the stuff in Empire Strikes Back because Luke is going through his journey of learning to be a Jedi. He doesn't finish his training, which is very risky. We've learned, especially for that line of family, and you just watch like him failing that test and the evil cave or whatever.
Yeah, and that scene's great too because you don't notice at first when they start to slow down the scene But as soon as you notice it, you realize, oh, okay, this is more like a dream scene. This isn't actually happening. But it's very subtle, and you don't notice it at first. It's very cool.
Well, and it's not even explained to you why he fails that test, right?
But you don't need to. Your imagination covered, and that's actually sort of the wonder, I think, of the original trilogy.
It is told you. It's just not crammed onto down your throat and like force fed and all horribly.
And that is.
You have Yoda in the beginning saying, the Force. You do not attack with it. You defend, and it's for knowledge. But you see in that evil cave, whenever whenever he's scared, and then he sees that vision of Darth Vader coming through, who pulls the lightsaber first?
In both scenes, actually. Also on Bespin, he pulls his lightsaber first, too.
And that's why he fails that test.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
and it's just really interesting. Like this is a space opera adventure movie, and it's really deep. It's why it's Star Wars. And that's, again, a failure, unfortunately, on episode 2. It doesn't, just telling like weird history in this really awkward way.
Well,
absolutely.
I think what you're seeing here is Empire Strikes Back probably had less control from Lucas than even the first one did. He was a step removed from it. I think Lucas is a problem, and I'm really, that's what gives me a lot of hope for this new movie that's coming out here in December, is that he has really nothing to do with it. And
he's a creative consultant at best. Yeah.
Yep. So they needed to keep the beard at least remotely nearby.
So what you're saying is they're doing a lot of what they did for the first trilogy by keeping Lucas away
at arm's length.
Well, actually, if you look at the series, I think Empire is the one that has his fingerprints on it the least. Because the first one was his baby. He directed it. It was like it's his thing. It's his masterpiece.
I don't think he edited it.
What's that?
I don't think he was the one who edited it, and that's what tells the story.
No, he didn't. He definitely didn't edit it, and apparently that's one of the things that hurt the original. It was I think it was his wife edited it, or not wife at the point, but eventual wife edited it, and they had a breakdown between that, so breakup.
Well, if she fought to make episode 4 what it turned into, then God bless her. She picked the right thing to move away from that clown.
Yeah. So, and also to touch on the special edition version, since I remember the originals very well, this is the only one where I don't feel like the special edition hurts it really in any way. The only thing you could possibly get is if you are a diehard fanboy, you could be upset that they changed Boba Fett's voice to match Jango Fett from episode 2. And honestly, it doesn't even matter when you're watching the movie. It's not jarring. It doesn't really bother you. Like, sorry, Boba Fett fanboys, it's not a big deal. And I actually feel like the special edition, all the little things, help a bit. The Wampa, while little out of place, is still very cool.
Yeah. And
then the Cloud City scenes are just effing amazing. That's what special edition should have been done for. He literally just said, I'm going to up these graphics so they look great. There's a scene where they're going after Han as they're being put in Slave 1, where it used to be just a plain white corridor. Now they're going to a corridor with windows in it, and out the window you can see the landing platform with Slave 1. It's super cool.
Yep. As I was sitting here, I was trying to think of what was the difference between... I mean, there's so many jarring differences in episode 4 that are were very obviously added to it, that detracted from the movie. And I was just thinking to myself, I couldn't even really think of what happened to Empire.
The most jarring is the Wampa scene, which ends up being kind of cool, though it's unnecessary, but cool.
Yep. Cool. So there you have
0 shots of Kraken. Shockingly.
Yeah, 0 shots of Kraken from me as well. It's as good as it gets. Miranda, if you're not familiar with our shots of Kraken scale, the less shots of Kraken you have to take to enjoy the video. So yes. The de facto standard is 5 shots of Kraken for Turkish Star Wars, and I think Empire Strikes Back probably sets the scale at 0 shots. I mean, that is your de facto 0 shots of Kraken movie.
Yeah, we haven't given too many 0 shots of Kraken. I think this and Maybe the first Avengers are about it.
Yep.
I can think off the top of my head.
Yeah, the first Avengers.
Yeah.
So what would you give the Empire Strikes Back on a shot? Now understanding the scale, what would you give it on a Shots of Kraken?
No, Empire Strikes Back is great. I guess 0, because you would not need any external stimulus to enjoy it.
There you go.
Other than the movie itself, obviously.
Excellent. So I've got a little bit of a movie to talk about, and I'm going to put myself back on the face cam here. Boom.
Oh.
Because I'm going to talk about a movie that I am very happy with, and that is a movie called Tomorrowland. And Tomorrowland was a movie that I wanted to see when it came out in the theaters, but never got around to. And for those of you who don't know what the movie is, it's a George Clooney flick, and it was produced by Disney. And the idea or the plot behind it was that there's a young girl who is given a pin by a mysterious person, and initially it's a young boy that's given a pin by this young girl, and you touch it and you can see a different world, and it's a much better world than the current world. It is very futuristic. Basically all of your 1950s sci-fi dreams have come true. Flying cars, jetpacks, shiny towering spires. It's like like Space Mountain and the Cinderella castle kind of got together and decided, let's make a sci-fi awesome. And that's kind of what Tomorrowland is like. It's literally like Disney's Tomorrowland was a real place. And
Which was kind of the point.
Right. Being a Disney property as it is. And but what ends up happening is a young girl is also given a pin. And it's many years later. And she sees it, and she's drawn to to meet up with this curmudgeon-y fella in his late 40s, early 50s, who happens to be George Clooney, who wears late 40s, early 50s better than any human on the planet should. And he is they basically have this adventure where they're finding, in spoilers, this is your last warning on spoilers,
Uh-oh.
that something has gone wrong. And I'm not going to spoil it terrible, but she has been found and she's been recruited to help basically keep things from going wrong. And it's visually one of the most amazing movies I've watched in a long time. It's Avatar level amazing to look at. Now Avatar, I don't know that I can necessarily care for as a movie, but it is amazing to look at. And this movie is equally, in my opinion, to look at. Have either of you two seen Tomorrowland yet?
Not yet. It's on my list, which is why I took my headphones off for spoilers.
Okay. You
And
said
it's worth noting also when describing the film, not to give spoilers either, but just the initial setting of it. When you follow this young girl, is she's surrounded by her teachers and her parents. Well, not so much her parents, but her teachers and everyone else she knows as an adult, talking about how the polar ice caps are melting. There's nothing we can do about it, and the world's falling apart in this way. And there's nothing we can do about it, and people are being horrible to each other, and nothing we can do about it. And so that's where it starts, and it's pretty important to the movie.
That's a really good point, Miranda. I appreciate you for bringing that up, because that is the central message of this movie. The central message is that of hope, and that sitting by and accepting that things are screwed up is not necessarily how it has to be. And so one thing leads to another, and we're not going to get into a whole bunch of spoilers here, but the world that we live in is being drowned in messages of that there's no hope, that things are going to hell, and there's a damn thing we can do about it. And so the movie revolves around the question of hope, the importance of dreamers, the importance of people who are not willing to accept the status quo as being the way it is, or nor shall the way that it always has to be. And this is one of those movies that I made my kids sit down and watch. I said, nope, we're watching Tomorrowland, and we're going to watch it right now. And y'all going to turn off whatever it is you're doing, and we're going to watch it as a family because this is a thing. And I have a lot of hope for my kids. And having kids was a very conscious decision for me, in that I did not want them to come into a world that is screwed up or a mess or anything else, remotely horrible. And, this, I really was taken aback by how wonderful this movie was produced, and it didn't do nearly well enough in the box office as far as I was concerned. Miranda?
No, that was really tragic. It's also worth noting that this was directed and I think written. It was written by Brad Bird, who did The Incredibles. So.
Okay.
Yeah, Brad Bird's super legit.
So
if you've still had any doubt, you shouldn't have any more doubt, and you should go watch it.
Yeah, this is one that if you've got $4 sitting around in your bank account, and you don't know what to do with, get over there to Amazon Prime and rent this thing in HD. HD is the only way to watch this movie. It is not even a question. The colors and the action and things like that are just incredible. So I give this. This is I don't know. I'm torn between a 0 and a 1 shot of Kraken on this one, because it's one you should probably be sitting down and watching with the kids. So having a whole bunch of Kraken in front of the kids, probably not a great parent move.
I don't know, kids. Are you enjoying this? Here, try some of this.
Yeah, here, try this. Make the colors really vivid. I can't. However, I can't put it quite in the same. I can't give it 0, having done Empire Strikes Back just now. So we'll give it half a shot of Kraken.
Half a shot.
Half a shot of Kraken. So, Randy, your thoughts?
It's certainly not without its problems. I mean,
yeah.
The main character can be a little grating at times, or I found her to be. But.
I did not find her nearly as irritating as so many heroines in movies of this type have been in the past. I think of like Jurassic Park, how they've portrayed young girls in the past, and this was one that was very. She might have been a little precocious for her age, but she was.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little dippy or I don't know, weird, but yeah, it was totally forgivable.
Yeah.
And not unrealistic.
By the way, this is my favorite quote, my comment in the Farseer Corwin wins the chat room for the night. The wife said, "Why is there a pretty girl on Nerd Channel?" So, thanks for upping the awesome in our Nerd Channel tonight.
That's right, because nerds are smexy, to quote Chaplain Arion.
Captain Aileron, yeah. So John, this week was crappy movie night at Not Brushhead Dave's.
So what the hell did he put you through tonight?
Actually, the fair thing is he hasn't put me through anything aside from anime AMVs, but we're not going to review those. I put him through Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
You're a terrible person.
And, oh my, is that just totally opposite of pretty much what you watched. This movie is so 80s it hurts at times. The acting is so amazing, sometimes it is also painful. And it is occasionally racist as heck.
No, this is Barry Gordy, of course, of the Motown fame.
Yeah, Motown fame. And it stars Tybeck and Vanity. So no one you're going to know. In fact, I think the biggest actor in this movie is probably Ernie Reyes Jr., which is actually kind of unfortunate. There's a couple more of those guys. You're like, oh, I've seen that guy in a movie, but
where do I know that
Reyes
name?
Jr.
Where do I know that name from?
Ernie Reyes Jr., the second Turtles movie, Red Sonja. He was in The Rundown for a little bit. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
So I don't know that name. I've not seen.
He's a young martial artist. He's been in Surf Ninjas. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but he
Surf
sort of fell off.
Fantastic.
Oh, God. Oh, Surf Ninjas is about as fantastic as it sounds.
Oh, there you
Maybe
go.
we'll watch that sometime.
Sorry to interject, but have you guys seen Kung Fury? I'm assuming.
Nope.
Have.
I
Not
started
yet.
watching some of it, and the awesome of it. I happened to have my boy in the same room, and I went, "Whoop! No, we're out of here."
Yeah, it's Kung Fury is on the list of things to watch at another crappy movie night at Not Brush at Dave's.
Well, keep in mind it's only about 30 minutes long, so it's not like you're gonna lose a lot of time.
No, it's fair. But The Last Dragon is basically about the story of Bruce Leroy. I can't make that shit up. And his quest to become a kung fu master, to find the master and get the glow.
The glow,
You know,
you say?
The glow, the mystical power that'll make him. He said from the wrong hands, it could be horrible, but the right person got the glow, he could make fantastic art.
Now,
And
hang on. What's the name of the movie again?
Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
Okay, because it's already sounding like what Fist of Fury from the RZA.
It's supposed to sound like Fist of Fury, which is actually Bruce Lee. In fact, they do a lot of clips.
Man with the
fact,
Iron Fists is what I was thinking.
Man with the Iron
of.
Fist.
Yeah,
That's
Fist of
actually
Fury.
pretty. That was pretty amusing, but it's. Woo.
Wow, do you
Man,
fit
like I
in on
said-
this show, Wargamer Girl? You fit in beautifully, Miranda.
Man with the Iron Fist is definitely one of our jams.
I don't know. I just appreciate that he tried.
That's the best way of putting it. But this movie, it starts off, it's very disjointed. It doesn't have a cohesive plot from the beginning. It jumps from scene to scene. Like one scene, his master's telling him he needs to go on his own and find the master who will teach him how to have the glow. In a very, very punch you in the face sort of, it's inside him. He needs to find it in himself, but he can't get that because he's young and sheltered. And then it goes to a movie theater where you're introduced to the antagonist while Bruce Leroy is watching The Enter the Dragon with a bunch of people in Harlem. And the antagonist is the Shogun of Harlem. And he is every bit as amazing as he sounds. It's hard to describe, honestly.
So is the Shogun of Harlem is he a pimp, or what does he got going on?
No, he's a kung fu guy.
I'm a kung fu guy, all right.
And he's upset because everyone says that Bruce Leroy is, the baddest kung fu guy in Harlem, catching bullets with his teeth and stuff like that. It was very specific, and he was basically trying to goad Bruce Leroy into a fight. But Bruce Leroy's got the Zen thing going on. He don't care. He totally ignores him until eventually he busts up his daddy's pizza shop. He beats up and works. There's a subplot where he meets Vanity, who's playing. I don't even care what her character's name is. It's not even important.
Oh my God, Vanity.
An 80s, like she runs a club and does a local video show where they does music videos on there. And the local arcade guy is trying to get his girlfriend, who has no talent, on that show.
The
with
local
horrible
arcade
80s
guy.
style videos. Oh my God. And the guy's name is Eddie Arcadian, and he runs arcades.
Shut up.
No, I can't make this up.
That's just
cannot.
poetry right there.
So it goes there, and basically, eventually, he kidnaps this girl. Laurel Charles is her name, and brings her back to her dance club, where she does her video show and all, and hires a bunch of guys, including the Shogun of Harlem, to beat up Bruce Leroy. But Bruce Leroy's students come in, and they have this big fight, and boy, it ends up in a warehouse where he fights the Shogun of Harlem. I'm not going to spoil the ending. No, I'm going to spoil the ending because Jesus Christ. This movie's pretty spoiled. Obviously, he finds the glow and beats the crap out of the Shogun of Harlem and wins and gets the girl, and there you go. Now, it sounds like I hate this movie. I totally do not hate this movie. This movie is so bad it's good. That's where it's coming from. Like I said, it's racist at points, but it's not like...
It's not horrible racist.
It's not like trying to be mean. It's just like, hey, these are stereotypes. We're just using them, Sometimes they're stereotypes you're like face-palmingly bad, but it's super fun. Some of the martial arts scenes are actually kind of fun. Every time Ernie Reyes Jr., who's like 5 in this movie, kicks someone's butt, it's kind of amusing. The main character is fairly amusing. His fight with the Shogun of Harlem in the end is fairly amusing. It's worth a watch. I'm not saying going out of your way to find it. I may or may not own it on DVD because I'm that kind of guy. Okay, I totally do. It was like $5 on
Shave
DVD.
cabinet.
It's worth. No, I don't hide any of DVDs. Well, I had a couple DVDs. I don't hide most of my DVDs. It was like $5 on DVD, and honestly, I cannot argue with.
There's a couple.
There's a couple, and we're not going to
There you
talk
go.
about those because legal.
We don't need to talk about those. They'll never be reviewed on the show. But like $5 on DVD, how can you argue with $5 or less on DVD? It's hard to.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
we talk about Turkish Star Wars on this show, and he will not show us certain DVDs. So there you go.
Let's just say Japanese anime goes to weird places, and I'm going to leave it at that.
There you go.
So this movie is great. I'm actually going to give it 2 shots of Kraken, but you can go as many as you want. 2 will get you loosened up to the beginning where it's not very cohesive, but then it reaches a point where it just starts to flow and actually like, okay, now you're getting a story together. It's not a great story, but it's enjoyable and it's fun. Not Brushhead Dave, his Kraken rating is show enough. And if you've seen the movie, you know what that means. Oh, so that's that. Oh, Farseer Corwin, bad. Don't mention that name in the chat room. I'm not reviewing it.
Well, all right then. That got weird.
It did. Yeah. Oh, John, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm trying to ban somebody. I don't know all the commands.
What? Who are we banning?
I'll talk to you about it.
All right.
That guy, right there.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Ban hammer that
Gotcha.
fucker right into the next universe. I ain't got time for that. There.
Boom.
What was I doing wrong? /ban, right?
Yep. /ban space his name.
Well, I don't know. I suck at it, I guess. Make that guy go away. Anyway.
He's gone.
Good. Jesus. Anyway, so this is the last time I put #painting on my on the name for this because it brought out all the idiots. And thanks Bob Ross. I blame you from the grave.
Wow.
But yeah, so they started this new category for shows here on Twitch called Creative, and it went. There are different hashtags you could put your stuff under Creative, and I put down #painting because maybe that's what this show is about. And yeah, we're going back to we're just going back to normal ones and just be here for our brush heads because it did bring out some of the idiots. So
Yeah, but it's not that bad. I can handle a couple bans.
yeah, we have how many people did we ban tonight? 3 people.
3, and probably one of those guys. The last guy probably wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate his comment earlier on. So
Oh, yeah, I didn't see all of them. But
yep, I saw the last one and I didn't appreciate it. So
I guess it was 4 because it's 2 at once, but no biggie.
there you go. All right, so there we have it, folks. This is your Sunday night extravaganza. I'm going to put the music on because this is a show. Boom.
Yes, it is.
There we go. Ah, there's the music. Ah, love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Miranda, thank you so very, very much for being here on the show tonight. You were an amazing guest. I hope you'll be with us again to talk about movies and stupid shit and Kador and
I hope so. This was a whole lot of fun. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm glad
Both of you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. We would love to have you on again. Yeah, #drinking is probably the one that we ought to have as our, and I'll be doing that. I am
might
going
be
to
the culprit, maybe.
that I'm going to definitely do. So the next one will be labeled creative / #drinking. So on behalf of Mr. John Spencer, the wind beneath my wings, the guy that keeps us on track, I'm Menoth John, and we will see you not next week. We're going to be at Warmachine Weekend. We are not going to be live like on the internet. We're going to be live in person, and we will release that video upon an unsuspecting internet on YouTube's. So look for it. And if you're at Warmachine Weekend, stop by, shake my hand, kick me in the ass, buy me a drink, whatever you want to do. And we'll see you then at Painting with Menoth John. Good night, everybody.